For those of you that are new to Women's Health First, we're a nonprofit organization with the mission of supporting humanity by promoting and improving women's health through education, advocacy, and empowerment. One of the goals of Women's Health First is to provide clean water to rural indigenous Africans. So today, in observance to World Water Day, we would like to welcome you to our presentation. Happy early World Water Day. I'm your moderator for the evening, Henrietta Akintade. I am an epidemiologist, executive assistant to Women's Health First, and have worked with Morehouse School of Medicine as a clinical research coordinator. I have the pleasure and honor to announce the special guest for tonight's presentation on the global water crisis and possible solutions. Our presenters are Nahila Ayeva, public health educator, behavioral health analyst, and the CEO, as well as executive director of Women's Health First. We also have Dawn Anderson, biologist, health marketing and communication specialist, and is on the executive board of Women's Health First. And last, if Dr. Kiba Richmond Green can make it, she is a public health policy analyst, psychotherapist, independent consultant, and on the advisory board of Women's Health First. We will take all questions at the end of the presentation, and we can now kick off.
All right. So what is World Water Day? World Water Day, March 22nd, dates to the 1992 United Nations Conference on Environment and Development, where international observance for water is recommended. The United Nations General Assembly responded by designating March 22nd, 1993 as the first World Water Day. So this international observance is an occasion to educate general public on issues of concern, to mobilize political will and resources to address the global water problems, and to celebrate and reinforce achievements in humanity. This is a major blessing. So what is the significance of World Water Day? And why is World Water Day important? World Water Day celebrates water and increases the awareness of 2 billion people who are living without access to clean and safe water. It's about taking action to address the global water crisis, to increase public awareness on these issues of concern, to mobilize resources to address global water and sanitation problems. But the core focus of World Water Day is to support the achievement and the sustainable development of water and sanitation for everyone, all 2 billion people, by the year 2030. So it's important for us to observe the World Water Day. Why? Because it's been held annually since 1993, and it's one of the most popular international days, together with Women's International Day, which is March 8th, and the International Day of Peace, which is September 21st, and the Human Rights Day, which is September 10th. So International Water Day is significant and is one of the top celebrated days in our calendar. Every year, the UN, in coordination with the Mechanism on Water and Sanitation, sets a theme for World Water Day, and is corresponding to the current and future water-related challenges that we have. So what is the United Nations, and what is the theme for World Water Day? I'll tell you in the next slide. Is to be that change. We want you to be that change, because the UN's theme for World Water Day this year in 2023 is to make sure that 2 billion people who do not have access to clean water have clean water. So what do we need to do? What can we do as individuals or as companies or corporations or communities to help accelerate that change? So right now, according to the UN, we're seriously off track achieving the Sustainable Development Goal. We wanted to make sure that we had water and clean water, make sure that we have sanitation for all by 2023, but we are not there yet. We need you. We need each and every one of you. We need every community to actually help with World Water Day and to achieve this goal so that we can be back on track by 2030. Billions of people need water. Billions of people live without clean water. The reason why it's coupled with Sanitation Day is because if you do not have clean water, then diseases come into play. It is a global crisis. I've been to West Africa where I've seen animals and human beings wash their clothes and their bodies in the same water. They take and scoop the same water into bins and buckets that is actually infested with mosquitoes, and malaria is one of the largest problems in that region as a result. 2 billion people around the world do not have safe drinking water. And Africa is more impacted, where 1 in 3 people do not have access to clean water, and they use contaminated water as a source for their household needs and their family needs, which actually causes diseases. Some of the diseases that are common from not having access to clean water is cholera, dysentery, diarrhea, typhoid, hepatitis, and worm infections, and more. 2 billion people need you. And the water crisis is a women's crisis. So we at Women's Health First need to recognize and do recognize that women and girls suffer the most. Not only is it a burden walking long miles to collect this unsafe water, but it's reproductive health issues that are also in need of changing. It is difficult to have a child, to be on your menstrual cycle, to clean yourself as a woman without clean water. So herein lies the gender inequality. Without adequate drinking water, sanitation and hygiene impacts, it poses a health risk to everyone, but it has a special impact on women and young girls. It is difficult to keep yourself clean and healthy. It is difficult to make sure that your family has clean water. It is difficult for reproductive measures. And I mean, it's not only the local households that are impacted by this, but it's the hospitals as well. But what I find is the responsibility for the women in Africa to carry these buckets of water and these bins of water generally falls on the women and girls who walk miles to collect the water from these water holes, rivers, streams, and then to be able to carry it back to where they came from. In Sub-Saharan Africa, women and girls bear the burden of searching for water daily, or maybe even several times a day. They can walk up to 4 miles to collect and carry up to 40 pounds of water each way. Homes and schools are also missing water. Communities, religious centers are also missing access to water. But it is a labor-intensive task if hours of your day is spent going to collect water for yourself and your family. And water is heavy. Water is heavy. It's not light. Even a gallon of water is difficult to carry up to 4 miles each day. And you may have to make several trips in a day. So let's take a look at some pictures. So this is what it looks like when women or girls are walking to and from the water holes or the rivers to get water for themselves and their family. Can you imagine waking up in the early morning knowing that the next 2 or 3 hours you're going to use in your day to go fetch water to put into your bowls, your bins, and your buckets? This is a normal task for women and children. And as you see, it's not easy. More than 700 children under the age of 5 die. They just simply die from diseases that are linked to not having clean water, for diseases that are linked to not having sanitation standard operating procedures, that are linked to poor hygiene because there isn't enough water that a child or a woman can carry to serve the entire household or the community. So we need clean water for health. We need to banish pneumonia, cholera, diarrhea, and many other diseases that are actually preventable. We don't even think of here in the United States, for example, about malaria. But that's very common in regions where there isn't clean water. Sometimes the girls miss out on their education because they're spending hours of their day walking back and forth to get clean water. The basic needs to be able to survive and have clean water is difficult to focus on education when your basics aren't taken care of. But the gender equality issue that we have here is that that particular burden of the collecting water, it generally falls on the women and the girls. When you see women walking up and down those roads to get water and girls walking up and down those roads to get water, you know that they spend a lot of time focusing on the collection of water in that given day, which doesn't give them the amount of time that they need to focus on their education or themselves for that matter. I usually see the women and the girls collecting water for the families. So now with regards to sanitation, when you see the community at the water hole getting water, this is water that's for drinking. This is water that they use to cook with. This is water that they use to wash their clothes with. And in many people worldwide, I see this in some parts of Asia and, some parts of Africa, where the people still practice open defecation. Open defecation. And that's not only in the households where people go into the backyards. This is also in the schools. This is also in the schools. Well, when the children go to take a break, they find, the trees and the fields around the schools and around the community where, they find a tree, go behind it, and, open defecation, happens right there. So the fecal waste is laying above ground. Someone can actually step in it and spread that. It's not even covered. Even a cat will cover their feces after using the bathroom. But open defecation is a worldwide practice of 673 million people around the world. That's 1 in every 8 people use the bathroom outside without covering their fecal waste. So, what we're looking for at Women's Health First is access to improved sanitation. 4.5 billion people worldwide do not use a conventional toilet. That's 3 in 5 people. According to WHO, which is the World Health Organization, 61% of the global population do not have access to what we take for granted here in the United States as a flushable toilet. Hygiene is highly impacted by that. And you can see in many places in the world where there are open sewage in the same space where children walk and play. It is common practice to have one of those little trails of fecal waste and defecation right beside where you live, go to school, and worship. Hygiene is important. Hand washing is important. The use of soap and water can reduce the number of incidents of diarrhea around the world by 50% or more. 50% or more, just having access to some clean water and soap. Again, here we take that for granted. Water just comes into our homes through our faucet, but that is not the case in many parts of the world. So Women's Health First is working on an initiative called Clean Water Africa, where water changes everything for most families around the world, including women and children. When a community gets access to clean water, it can change just about everything. It can improve health, avoid diarrhea and malaria, for example. You have access to better foods, because if you're using contaminated water to cook your food or to clean the pots and pans associated with it, then a lot of times the diseases just transfer. Also, they use the same water for farming, for growing their vegetables. If they had clean water, the local economy would grow. The local economy will grow with clean water and access to clean water. If there was water that was readily available, people would be healthier. They would be able to work more. If there was access to clean water, people wouldn't be as sick, and there'll be access to do other things with their life that will actually improve and grow not only their family, but the economy in their communities around them. Education would be more accessible for the simple fact that you wouldn't spend a quarter or half or a third of your day collecting water. So indeed, water is important, from health to nutrition to local economy growth to education and infrastructure. It is vital for every aspect of human life. We tend to take it for granted when we're able to open our faucets and close our faucets and water comes into our house and several places in our homes. But for some people, water is a major activity, and it takes a great amount of time during their days. Think about it. think about how do we use water in any given day? We use it to drink. We use it to shower and clean ourselves. We use it to wash our clothes and our laundry. We use it in our cooking. We use it in our agriculture. And we also use it to feed the animals. Water is, oh my God, so necessary for all of us. And for the 2 billion people who do not have access to this water, these tasks of drinking, showering, cooking, washing, laundry, growing crops, and feeding animals is a major concern. So what are our solutions? Because we at Women's Health First is a solution-oriented organization. Our founder, Nahila Ayeva, developed the WASH program. And the WASH program contains 3 aspects or 3 components as a solution to this world water crisis and sanitation crisis. And that is to provide clean water for communities, to provide sanitation in the way of soap so that people are able to wash their hands and minimize disease, to give hygiene or to pass out information or to impart knowledge among females, women and girls about how to make sure that they are able to clean themselves to prevent disease. So what we do is we provide clean drinking water to rural villages in Togo, and we would like for you to watch this video.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. To yana mengi ken video na photo ko mengi kena yana buwa na karata de bongo la balla plus de 4 km à 5 km comme ça. Yana na bisu ko lomba. C'est le même de l'on wa tambi. Dans ce wadara c'est ko ni ba cha. Fatim wa da Allah. Ana na ba doctor ya kula ba. Abin fanna. O mo bona. To ana ne ma tanna.
الحمد لله رب العالمين ثم الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وازو alas badelu mbi era wonyonondo bogona siman maz alwala de la mawluge bogona dumbana kadazi de pobi de yekmi so ko ni ifada ko dini basnada de dépendre du forage que nous avons. C'est Inch'Allah, ils seront visités là. Car les associations pour lesquelles nous voulons vivre là, sont pour lesquelles nous sommes pour les deux. Inch'Allah, des amants ou aller comme dans le Minando, le Damana Adini, des Dogon, c'est le Walwe Adini. Les Dallas, c'est le Wada Alwala Dalam, des Bokona Dalam, Manas Lumbi. Bogo nandanando jokala tuma roko lamna suwana na alwala jamfana se inya so rukoni ini dawo. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Thank you so much, Dan, for this wonderful presentation. I will go ahead and then translate the video. Is right about how the indigenous people in West Africa, Togo, showing you the hardship as Dan Anderson has explained to us, and they're showing you the water that they drink, and they're also showing that some of them are, the second village is in a Muslim rural area. They say Ramadan is coming, and this is the water that they will have to break the fast and also to perform their ablution, which is called wudu, and they're begging for your help. Yeah. So without further ado, back to you, Don, about what what do we need to do? What do we need to do in terms of um, call for action for your team today, which is a UN team for um, International Water Day. So what we can do? Back to
Okay.
you, Don.
Okay. Well, there are a number of things that we can do. Number one, be grateful for what you have. I mean, we're in a house. Most of us here are in a house or an apartment
It's in the shop.
that have water.
Hey,
We have water that flows in our kitchens and in our restrooms. And one of the things that we can do is reflect on the importance of water in our lives. So to be grateful and to pray for other people who don't have. They have less than us. Number two, if you can, get involved. Get involved. And there are several ways that you can do this. One, you can tell as many people as possible about the initiatives that we're taking in order to help people who do not have access to clean water. If you can donate, even if it's a small amount, to the water well projects, that would help an entire community to have access to water, including women and girls and their families. If you can, use your social media or other media outlets in order to help with fundraising so that Women's Health First, and we're an open book. I mean, we show you exactly where your money has gone and what is happening, with the projects that Women's Health First takes on. If you can help with the fundraising using your social media outlets or telling your peers or your communities or your organizations, or if you can help, us to, write for initiatives to be able to get money from foundations and communities and major corporations, that would definitely help. Another thing is in-kind donors. It doesn't always have to be a financial commitment, even though that would be good, but in-kind donors. If you can volunteer at some of our health fairs, if you can volunteer, to, help us in communicating the importance and the value of providing water to, women in Sub-Saharan Africa, we would truly appreciate that. Sometimes you can send us, cases of soap. You can send us hygiene products, toothbrushes, towels, whatever it is that you can find. We would even accept vehicles. If you have an automobile that is old and you want to trade in that automobile, then you'll consider donating that to Women's Health First. And we will convert these assets into something that we can help to, help women around the world and families and girls around the world get water for themselves and their communities. So in-kind donations, whether it's health related or vehicles or anything that we can convert into a financial, it could be a boat or even real estate. Get involved, get involved. Get involved by small donations, get involved with telling others about this initiative, get involved with in-kind donations. We would truly appreciate that. So here's my action list. Here's an action list. So we want to practice what we preach. We want to be able to save water. Water is, I understand that water covers most of the world, but access to clean water and water that we can actually use is a resource, We have a triple water filtration system here in the United States. And that doesn't mean that water is unlimited, because it's not. So some of the things that we can do is take shorter showers. When you're brushing your teeth, for example, don't let the water run while you're brushing your teeth. Don't let the water run on full tap. Sometimes people, when they open the faucet, is either on or on high. It could be a drip. It can be low levels. When you turn the knobs for your water, there's increments in between 0 to full blast. So we want to break the taboos of making the connection between using the restroom and menstruation, for example. We want to be able to have hygiene methods to where women and children are able to clean themselves. It's not a taboo to talk about hygiene for women. It's not a taboo to talk about, the connection between using the bathroom and disease. You see it in restaurants. We not only wash our hands, but we sanitize our hands too. Employees, please wash and sanitize your hands before returning to work. Another thing for Sub-Saharan Africa is that they can share the responsibility of fetching the water between men and women. Now, I have seen the men fetch water too, but it wasn't for their families. It was for construction sites. They can actually fetch water for their own families and maybe send some of the boys out to help as well. Water is heavy. Can you imagine? I complained about taking the water, a gallon of water off the shelf, putting it in my cart, taking it to checkout, putting it in my car, and carrying it in the house. Can you imagine carrying 40 of those gallons 4 miles a day? Stop polluting. Stop sending food waste, oils, milk, which is a fat, medicines and chemicals down the toilets and the drains. Eat local. Buy local and seasonal foods and look for products that are made with less water. Become curious. We have access to the internet. Do you know where your water comes from? Do you know how it is shared? Have you visited a treatment plant to see how your waste and your water is managed? Protect nature. Plant a tree or create a rain garden. Use natural solutions to reduce the risk of flooding and store water. Build pressure. Write to your elected representatives about budgets for improving water at home and abroad. We are not on track to providing water to 2 billion people by 2030, according to the UN. Build pressure, even in your local communities, so that your elected officials will become more aware about the water crisis and want to help. Clean up. Take part in cleanups. Adopt a river, a stream, a lake, a wetland, or a beach. We believe in a world where every single person should have access to clean and safe drinking water. Please ensure that we have clean water and sanitation for all. One of the solutions at Women's Health First is to drill water wells. Look at the community in front of you and how they are celebrating the clean water and access to clean water. They have their bins. They're ready to collect water for their families. The children are smiling. They're collecting waters in the palm of their hand to drink clean water, as opposed to going to the water hole and collecting gray, mudded water with mosquitoes and disease infested in these ponds, still ponds at that, not even running water. Take a look at this YouTube video for World Water Day?
Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bagan ka zo, son zamani ba. Mawgani village na kurda. To gade china na loko.
Préparer.
Et faire quoi encore?
Boire.
L'eau là, c'est bon de boire?
C'est comme ça.
Did you see all of the happy people at the water well? Did you see the alternatives between the gray, muddy water, the stagnant water, which wasn't running, and the clean water that was coming from the faucets of the wells of Women's Health First? We need you. We need you to help us. We need you. Women's Health First has completed 2 water projects. Water well equipped with solar power system that will currently provide water for over 3,000 people in rural Togo. And we also did 1 water project in Nigeria, in a rural area in Nigeria that serves over 1,000 people, but much more needs to be done. Women's Health First is currently in the process to drill water wells in 10 villages in rural Togo, West Africa. Togo is in need of water. It's not one of the West African countries that most people know about, so we chose to focus on Togo. So if you can help us, the villages you can see here on your screen are in dire need of clean water. Women's Health needs your first. We need your help. You can donate, you can volunteer, you can send us in-kind donations. Like I said, we take real estate and cars as well, along with soap, hygiene products. We truly appreciate you. And if you can ship containers to Togo, we would appreciate that as well. Please give entire villages a chance to access clean and fresh water. You would not only increase the health and the economic development of this country, but it will save lives. And Women's Health First is committed to saving one community at a time. It only takes $5,000 in Africa to get a deep tube water well, like you saw there in the video. For the African powered solar water well, the water tank was $9,000. If 9 people gave $1,000, we will be able to serve 3,000 people. If you could help us provide clean water for these communities, these 10 communities, we would greatly appreciate you. So much needs to be done. Your support, your donations, your volunteerism is in need, in great need. for people who do not have access to clean water to even drink, let alone wash, cook, or do laundry with. There are going to be people who are fasting from sunup to sundown, that when sundown hits, they would have water that is infested and contaminated to drink and to cook their food in. This is an opportunity for you to give charity, charity that will last in this lifetime and beyond. Because once you put a water well in place for generations to come, your charity will be recognized, not once, not twice, but over and over and over. We truly appreciate you at Women's Health First. Just imagine not having clean water to drink. How will you wash your hands? How would you make ablution? How would you fast and enjoy that fast to only know that you have to continue to fast because you don't have clean water to drink or to break the fast with? Or that your option is to get water out of a stagnant water hole. Access to clean water is critical. And it's easy for us to open our taps, or even for some of us are fortunate enough to have filters on our refrigerators, or maybe we use, filters like Brita, for example, to make sure that we have quadruple filtered water instead of the triple filtered water that comes out of our taps and faucets here on this side of the world. But what we want to do is provide water for the other 2 billion people, for life, for health, and for all. These are our references. Take a look at worldwaterday.org. Women's Health First. Thank you. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. We will entertain any questions at this time. If you want to contact us, take a look at womenshealthfirst.org. We would truly appreciate your suggestions, but right now we're opening the floor to questions. If anyone has any questions, you could turn on your mic and you can ask them now.
Good evening. My name is Ukeme. I wanted to ask about boreholes in different villages in Sub-Saharan Africa. What do you think of boreholes to supply water?
Nahila?
Yes, thank you so much for great presentation, Don Anderson, and we really appreciate your executive board work that you've been doing for the organization. Again, this shows up in this beautiful presentation that you just present us today about the water issue in Africa and also in the whole world. Yeah. The question is about borehole. Thank you so much for the question. Anytime that you have a project that is above 100 meters, it requires you to have a drill system. So for safety issues, so the borehole become more necessary at that time, because again, if you have a regular well and and it's above 80, even a 50 meter, then there is a hazard. There's a safety hazard of chances of a kid or even adults falling inside of the well. So that's one thing. It's a safety issue. Second thing is also that a borehole is needed because once you dig over 100 meters, you reach to aquifer water, which is a risk of diseases are eliminated. And a Women Health First, as the executive board has presented, not only we care about giving the water as a social need, but also as a health need. To prevent diseases are very important. So we take seriously when it comes to what quality of water we're giving and what type of water we're giving. So yes, borehole is welcome. And borehole in the system where we don't have electricity, it's or or any power, we use a power generated system in those villages. That's how we complete some project, because again, somebody will question why that kind of project is so expensive. We're talking about 1,000, or we can have a project that costs $800 or perhaps $500. But again, it's not the same objective that we're shooting. First is to alleviate the burden of a woman working a long mile to collect dirty, contaminated water, source of waterborne diseases, like Don has mentioned, some of them being hepatitis A, B, and also sterile diseases, and much more of cholera. So again, yes, boreholes are the first choices that we have when it comes to women health first, and we welcome those. Thank you so much. I hope I was able to answer your question. Any other clarity?
Thank you. No, thank you. How long does a borehole last, out of curiosity?
Yes, it depends on the project. Like again, a borehole in an area where the water has reached aquifer level, which is over 100 meter. We have to do our conversion table meter. So those borehole can last from 30 to 40 years. So that's why people have different well project. Yes. So deep borehole generated with the power, solar power, above 100 meter can last 35 to 40 years. Yes.
Okay.
And those borehole cost approximately average of 10,000. It depends again on in a locality. It depends on transportation, and it depends on the material, the cost of material. But they range from 10,000 sometimes to 15,000, and average being 9,000
US dollars.
US dollars. Yes, absolutely.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Are
Back
there
to you,
any other,
Marietta.
yes, are there any other questions? Thank you for tuning into this presentation on the global water crisis. And thank you to our honorable speakers this evening. Is womenshealthfirst.org to learn more about our Clean Water Africa project, as well as our other projects. These drill water wells in Africa provide clean drinking water and can reduce the burden of women and girls who have to walk miles to collect contaminated water. And we hope that you learn more and donate to our cause. Thanks for joining us this year, and we hope to see you next year.
Thank you. Thank you, Henrietta. And the conversation, like Henrietta always says, doesn't end in here. And we always look forward to your email, your phone calls, or visiting our website. Thank you.